So the stream seemed to be working. So hello everyone, welcome back from another small break. And today I will continue on the Cyclop from Heroes of Might and Magic 1. I guess you know the drill. And if anyone is new in here, I am just doing the redesign of monsters from Heroes of Might and Magic 1. Just for fun, just to paint or draw, and that's pretty much all. I tried to fix the stream on Twitch, so it should work right now. I turned it on for a second on Twitch, and it seemed to have worked. So if everything is clear and everything works, let me know. If something does not work, also let me know, so it will be cool. I guess today's stream will be a bit shorter. And by shorter, I mean around 1 hour, or maybe hour and a half. Hello, Miblert. Hour and a half or something like this, because I do have Elden Ring to play. So there are games to be finished and explored. But also I wanted to draw a bit. So yeah. The only thing that had happened that is mildly interesting is Elden Ring, at least for me. And the game is absolutely spectacular. If anyone is wondering if you should buy it, then you definitely should buy it. It's like one of the best games I have ever played, and the world is beautiful, the lore is great, the characters are great, everything is great, designs are great, monsters are great. Oh, that's good. Good to know that it does work in here. Hello, Inkpen Dude. Yeah, and at the moment I do. At this moment, Elden Ring is the priority. Because I have been playing the entire weekend. I have not moved from my PC. And I want to continue playing the game as much as I can. Until I can't, because most likely there will be a little bit more job to be done soon. So time to utilize as much of my spare time as I have. So today oh yeah, definitely. That's definitely a good excuse to play some games. This is a good source of inspiration, but true. I have been inspired as hell by Elden Ring. Not only by the designs, but one of the cool things is a lot of the things that they did in the game that they utilized were actually things that I were writing in my master thesis that I said are not really used in the games that much. So it's really cool to see them actually like come up with like the same things over the time. So it's a good verification, but the important thing is I am motivated much more because I want to log in quickly into my workplace, do all the work I need to do like early to still have like a lot of day available, so I can later play some games without like lagging behind with work. And without feeling guilty that I am gaming instead of working, which won't be fair to my employee. And this way, I can manage to fit everything as I need to fit. So it's win and win, double, triple win. So it's extremely cool. And if someone have been living under a rock and they have no clue what Elden Ring is, it's basically a new From Software game, and it's like Dark Souls. And if you don't know what Dark Souls is, then most likely we can't be friends. So yeah, Dark Souls is one of the most important games in my opinion that have ever that were created in the new generation of games. And I have been simping for Dark Souls really heavily because it's basically like absolutely my piece of cake. It rings all the bells that I like. And yeah, and Elden Ring rings even more bells than Dark Souls. I do enjoy it even more because they improved on a lot of things compared to the previous games. But yeah, I guess you just have to explore it by yourself if you have not already. And let me know later how you enjoyed your playthrough, because for me it is spectacular. So today I also want to, I am motivated to do a bit more, a bit faster, so I can like have a better efficiency while doing this fella, because I need to utilize my time a bit better. So for the things that I plan to do now is like the things that I plan to do today is to clean the rendering on the bandages, on the forearm, on the chainmail, and a bit on the legs. So most likely this is what 1 hour will allow me to do. But I will try to be a bit smarter on this and utilize some cool textured brushes that will do a bit of a work for me. I'm not sure which brushes should I use, but generally speaking, sometimes it's better to not over render everything that you have on a canvas. Sometimes it's better to just leave some areas like kind of unfinished, but with a lot of texture. And this way, and then with a bit of a suggestion. So for example, instead of like painting all the like small elements on the bandages, I can like suggest that they are there by smart use of textures. I don't know if I can do it. I will try. If I fail, then well, maybe next time I won't fail. But yeah, I will do my best. And also now I definitely need to separate the hand from the body, because I want it to be extra sharp and I kind of want to throw some shadows underneath the hand. And it also will allow me to maintain the sharp edge on the hand, which is really important at the moment. And a cool trick is if you do have like a hole, or however to call it, like this, and you want to get rid of it quickly because you just like cut out a part of your design, you just press Shift F5, content aware, and Photoshop most likely should fill it for you. It won't be perfect, but it will give you like a general idea, or at least a really good starting point. So yeah, it's not perfect, but it's more than enough than I might need. And also oh yeah, of course, feel free to ask about anything. Like if you want to ask about, I don't know, home renovations, feel free to do so. I'm in the middle of a home renovation and I do know a lot about them at the moment. I learned a lot. My friends taught me a lot. I read on the web a lot. So yeah, feel free to ask. I know you need to put a binding agent on a wall before you start painting it and make sure there is not a lot of dust on it. Otherwise you will have the same problem as I do have in my bathroom. So yeah, the more you know. But feel free to ask. I will help as much as I can, if it's possible for me, of course. I'm not a huge fan of those pants, though. They look a bit weird. Oh yeah, art advice then definitely should be easier for me than renovations advice. So go for it. It's a bit closer to my specialty, I could say. Maybe I will just give him like, no, I won't. Also, one of the cool things that you can do is, this is something that I mentioned many times, but if you go to the brush settings in Windows, let me do a display capture. Yeah, you can see it. If you go to color dynamics and you set everything to like 5, 5, and 5, then each stroke will have like a different control of pen pressure. Oh, no. Fade? No. Why it's not working? Rotation? No. That's weird. Fade? It should generally change every stroke. Like you should see those type of things. in the brush. I'm not sure. Per tip. Oh yeah, per tip. Off. Oh yeah, okay. This was this. So this is a really hefty trick because it allows you to introduce a lot of cool textures and colors into your painting, and also because you will be like color picking stuff from your painting. You will always pick slightly different hue, and this will generally increase the amount of hues in your painting, which is always a cool trick. And also if you have a really cool textured, like heavily textured brushes, then it will, like this thing will shine even more. And if I can, I usually try to use this like setting, the color dynamics type of a thing, as an underpainting. So if I feel flat colors or something like this, then I try to like use it, because then it really makes a lot of sense. I like introduce a lot of texture into the painting this way, which is always cool, because the more and more I watch the artworks that I like and the artists that I like, it's really often, or maybe not really often, but almost always, they play a lot with the brush strokes and everything, and I do really suck at the brush strokes. I don't know what to draw or what to do next. I've been also trying to improve my drawing skills, learning the fundamental and all that, and it made me lost my motivation to draw too, so I don't know how to overcome that. I would say this is like absolutely normal type of a thing. If you are any sort of a creative, you will have your ups and downs, and usually usually downs are extremely brutal in terms of art, because you will feel that you are not good enough for like forever since you started like drawing, because there will be always something new to learn, and you will always see an artist that is like 10 years younger than you and will be better than you at doing what you like. So I would say it's absolutely perfectly normal. I had those like many times where I was just like not feeling really like doing anything. And back in the days, I tried to push through it and like do the drawings and everything. And sometimes it worked, but usually it was like, nah, I was not really feeling it, and it was just causing me to stress over like everything that I do much, much more, which was stupid, because I was stressing over. Basically, I was stressing over. So it's stupid, like self-fulfilling something. I just couldn't overcome it. And for those type of things, if you don't really have motivation, just take a break. Like, you don't really need to draw all day, like every day a week, like all time to improve. Sometimes, honestly, the taking a break is much more valuable than actually pushing through it, because especially if you're a beginner, there are like much more things that you don't know. So for example, in my case, since I like to refer to myself as an advanced beginner, even if I have a really bad day, most likely in the end I will be able to produce something that is at least okay, because I do have like quite okay fundamentals. Of course, they could be improved and all this. Of course, I still have a lot of gaps in the knowledge and the things that I do, but I will be able to make something that's relatively okay. If someone is less experienced, most likely in their like off days at the beginning, they won't be able to do anything that is like even remotely okay. But this is also normal. Like, if you don't have experience, don't expect to like do good stuff all the time. And the way I have been dealing with those type of things is usually I was just going out to enjoy myself in a way that it is not connected to art like directly. So I would go out with my friends, I would just watch shitload of movies, I would play a lot of games. I would just, I don't know, go grab a beer with my friends, do something else entirely, maybe like search for a small side hobby while I have like an art block or whatever. But Also for the art blocks, I noticed the more I do, the less art blocks I have. And I even remember one, I guess I even talked about this in one of my older video, but I do remember one day when I was like really stressing over something. Like I wanted to draw something and I just couldn't get a grab on it. Like it was just like really overwhelming in every single possible way. And at some point I just like felt this click in my brain that was like, ah, fuck it. Why are you stressing over like drawing monsters? Like this is fun. Just like do it and don't really care that much if you fail. Like I like it to the degree where failing at this moment is even fun, because usually when I fail, it happens that I draw something that is kind of funny and then I look at it and I'm like, wow, like I'm really stupid. And I kind of turned failures into like joy in a sense. But nah, taking a break is not a waste of time. It's definitely not a waste of time. I usually approach it in a way that I can be, let's say, 50% or okay, less, 30% efficient for like a month and constantly do the same things while stressed. Or I can take like a break for a week or something like this and then be constantly efficient at about 80% because I will just like rest. And also rest is important. This is one of the things that is really often skipped by the artists, but drawing is a skill like everything else. In my case, I really like to compare it to the gym. So if you go to a gym, you work out, your muscles are sore, and you just need to rest. So your muscles need to regenerate, and you need to like create new tissue and regenerate the tissue that was damaged. If you are drawing, you are constantly learning new things. You need time for your brain to process the informations, and then all of a sudden it will work. Usually the way I understand it works, it's not like a perfect explanation, but it is like if this is like your brain, so it's all like, well, it has all this shit. And for example, you do this, and this, and this one day. And your brain is like, whoa, this really works. This is really cool. And in the next time when you are trying to draw something, your brain does like this, 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 and this, and this, and the four things that are outside the circle don't work. Like only this thing works, but this is like brand new. It just does not work. And the way, I don't know if this is the way it works, but I understand it this way and it makes sense for me. It kind of tells me that my brain knows this works, so it is like testing different approaches. It is testing different things. It wants to see if this will work, or this will work. It's like trial and error type of a thing. And the next time I will do something, this will work. So then my brain will be like, okay, this works. This obviously does not work. So next time it will go with something like this, and this, and it will do this. And it turns out those things worked because I just needed to like cross combine them with another informations. So it's just like taking and segregating all the informations in your brain. And rest is definitely one of the most important things in art. It's really easy to be overlooked because there is this culture of grind and just like do as much as you can. Like you need to draw for 16 hours a day. But honestly, okay, I had periods in my life where I could pull this off, where I literally could sit for like 2 weeks and do like art 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. Sometimes I would pull out even all-nighters and everything for just to learn how to draw. But you can't keep this type of a lifestyle constantly. It will burn the fuck out of you extremely quickly because it's just really demanding on the body. And sometimes it's okay, it's perfectly fine to go with something like this, but it's not sustainable for a long period of time. You just won't be able to keep doing something like this. And yeah, and you need to like a proper food, proper fuel to your body. You need a proper rest so your brain can process everything. And again, if you will feel like shit because you are like sleeping bad and you are eating bad, or you are like not moving and everything hurts, then like don't expect art being fun, because you will like prepare a really bad base for everything to happen. So this is the other thing. If you are doing drawing or learning how to draw or whatever, also prepare the environment in a way that supplements your like artistic endeavors, because the environment also is important. Like, to put it in the perspective, if I were to put you in an extremely loud, noisy and crowded place, it will be close to impossible to focus. Of course, someone could focus in those situations, but usually people won't be able to do so. And on the other spectrum, imagine just sitting in the most coziest room, or maybe not coziest room, but in the room that is like has all the resources, nice music, is chill, and you just enjoy it. And you have to do something in there, creative or like learn, and you have like the peace of mind that everything is fine. Then learning will be much easier. So this is the other thing that a lot of people overlook. They don't really take in account their environment, and really often this is a problem where while some people can't just force themselves to work because like the environment does not support it. So just blast some good music or no music if you don't like it, and enjoy the process. It will be fine. And for the topics that you don't know what to do, you can go with something like the one thing that you enjoy, just purely enjoy, don't really care about the outcome, and do the other thing that you need, that you know you need to learn. So for example, do you understand 1-point perspective? If not, then just study 1-point perspective for like 2 weeks. And if you will feel sick of it and you will be in a place where you will be like, okay, I think I understand it, move up, study 2-point perspective. If you feel you understand it, then do a 3-point perspective, or at least get a grasp on it, because drawing in a 3-point perspective in the beginning is like a total bitch. It's really hard. And then just try to draw some different objects. So for example, draw a box, because there is no such thing as 7-point perspective. 5-point perspective is like, it's like the max that you can have, unless you like incorporated time or something like this into it, or some other dimension. But to put it really simply, really quickly, you have like a sphere. There's 1 point of like one vanishing point and the second one on the left and right. So basically, if you stand in front of like a horizontal lane from left to right, from the infinity, at some point it will end on the left and some point it will end on the right. The same stuff will happen on top and the bottom, so it will go like this. So imagine just having like a pole that is vertical. At some point it will be just finishing over your head somewhere and under your legs somewhere, given that you are flying or whatever. And the 5th point that is in here. I'm not even sure where I could put the other 2 points. They don't really, there is no a lot of place for it. A 5-point perspective is basically a fish eye. So like, wait, let me grab an image. 5-point perspective. It's like a really fish islands, like a really extreme distortion of the perspective, and you can achieve it with some lenses. So it's one of the topics that is also extremely important to learn, is the lens length, and how the lens length and how the distance between the vanishing points affect the image. lens length, because the further away the vanishing points are according to your canvas size, the lazier the perspective will be. So this is like a perfect example of the photo of the lens length. The photographer stands in exactly the same place, so 80 millimeters is like really wide lens. It's not a fisheye lens, but the fisheye lens basically creates something like this. It can grab a lot of image at the same time, it's like a lot of informations, but it also causes the extreme distortions and really extreme like changes in size. And for example, 300 millimeters is like a really long lens, so it can see a really narrow type of a thing, but the perspective will, because of it, will be like really lazy. It's extremely hard to get like crazy angles because of it. And also a good image to explain how it works is this type of a thing. So for example, as you can see, if you were to make a portrait of someone, so let's say black color, in here, if you are using long lens, someone needs to be in here. So this is the distance you need to be from the camera. So only then they won't be even like able to capture your entire face. While, for example, in this case, for 200 millimeters, you can be like in there because you will be in the arc. And in here, you can be like in here. It will manage to grab your entire face. And lens length portrait, it's really nicely visible on the portraits what it does to a face. And also this is the reason why vast majority of people look stupid while they are taking selfie with a phone, because like the face is also a geometrical object and this is geometry. It will distort in the perspective. So long lens, where the vanishing points are like further apart, will be like look normal. We are looking like our eyes are more or less 50 millimeters, something like this, something between around 50 millimeters in terms of like comparison to a lens length. But for example, a lot of smartphones has like 24 or 35, something like this, which causes a distortion. Everything that is closer is bigger and stuff like this. And to put it even more in the perspective, like quickly, without like boring you to death, if this is your canvas and you have like vanishing points in here, so this is like your perspective, you will get like a really dynamic shot because you can see two vanishing points, which is impossible to do with your eyes, but just for the case of art, it is legal. So let's say this is like 35 millimeters or something like this. But if on the same canvas, on the same perspective grid, you will shrink the canvas, but you won't shrink the vanishing points, then all the lines in here, as you can see, according to the canvas, are much more like lazy. They are not as dynamic as they used to be, like outside. And this in case can be like 200. So the distance between A and B to the X is important. And this basically allows you to create different feelings. Long story short is you don't want lazy perspective on the shots that are meant to be dynamic. So if you want to create an epic fight scene or whatever, then you want to use more dynamic type of a shot. So for example, League of Legends splash art. So League of Legends uses this concept a lot in their splash arts because they want to amplify the movement and everything. So as you can see, this is extremely like forced perspective, like everything is like extremely dynamic, things in the background are really small and yeah, and whatnot. It just like screams speed. And in the other case, Harrison, there is a guy that is called Paul Harrison who specializes in those like epic mega scenes with like a really long lens. So the perspective is like really flat in a sense and is extremely not dynamic. So for example, well, not this one, but this one. So for example, this one, as you can see, all the lines are almost parallel to each other. This is a Paul Chadeson, or however to say it. Let me write it quickly, because he is a great artist. Paul Chadeson. As you can see, all the lines from the perspective are like almost parallel to each other. And this makes this entire image look like really calm, really like stoic, like monumental and everything, because perspective is not crazy. If you were to view this shot with this lens, it will look stupid. And bless me, I needed to sneeze. Oh, I almost lost half of my face. So yeah, and this is one of the things that you also need to know when you are doing art. And also this is one of the reasons why if you are drawing something, even if you, thank you, even if you manage to measure everything correctly, so for example, you're using ellipses, some sort of a things to measure, your image looks stupid because it just looks off and the proportions looks off. 99% of the times, if you measure it correctly, it's caused by the wrong perspective. So for example, your reference image has like, let's say 35 millimeters lens, but you are drawing it in like 200 millimeters lens, or even crazier perspective that is, I don't know, 10 millimeters lens or something like this. And it will like cause the entire image to look vastly different, because yeah, this is how it works. So yeah, this is this. And in practice, at the moment, when I am drawing those stuff, it's good to be aware of it, because sometimes when you are doing like a landscape or like whatever, pretty much, and you need to add some sort of an object, like in this case for this guy, since I wanted the lens to be a little bit more on the long spectrum, so let's say around 100 millimeters or something like this. I know if I would add a box next to this guy, the box could look somewhat like this. It will be a bit more calm. But if I were to add a box that is extremely dynamic next to him, like let's say something like this, it will really visibly be off. Something just does not sit right with it. And it's because this is a different perspective. Oh my god, wrong layer. You can't like match, or you shouldn't. I bet it is possible to pull out, but it will to pull off, but it will be much harder to do so, to combine different perspectives so that it won't look like bad. I don't say it is impossible, but it will be hard to do in a way that it will look nice or acceptable, or that it will look like an intention instead of an error. So yeah, this is what you do to learn art. So going back to the question also, maybe if you don't feel like drawing, try studying photography a bit. It will help you. In the end, it will be really helpful to like even go out with like your phone. It is important, but honestly, not a lot of people talk about this, because I don't want to sound like someone who brags a lot, but a lot of people don't really, like, they never really studied like geometry, in a sense that they are not aware of those type of stuff, because I mean geometry and photography, because a lot of artists that I know are not even interested in photography. For me, I am absolute shit in terms of using like the camera. I can't make a good photograph for life. It's just like something bad happens with my brain when I try to take nice pictures. It's always like extremely cheesy and nothing really looks nice. It's just bad. But it also makes me aware of those type of things, and it is important, I guess. You can get away with it, and a lot of artists nowadays even get away without knowing this, because a lot of artists start in 3D and they do everything in 3D and they finish everything in 3D and they just like add brush strokes so it looks painted. So then you like, I mean, you can spot an artist who does not know what he or she is doing with the perspective. It's not really that hard. But if some of them are really good with using 3D stuff, you will barely notice unless you really know what to look for. So yeah. And actually it happened many times when I saw some sort of an artist that I really liked, that were doing awesome like paintings and everything. Basically awesome images. It's sometimes hard to call them paintings if you want to be a purist with a name. And then they were posting their drawings, like sketches of the perspective, like of the items in perspective and everything. And like everything was incorrect in terms of like the lens length, perspective, object relation, and everything. So it was just showing the really heavy lack of basic knowledge. But it does happen. Not everyone like knows this. Not everyone needs to learn this. I did, and for a really long time it was like hindering my process of learning because I was overthinking the perspective instead of like just doing it right. Because in the end, if you really study a lot and you do a lot, at some point you will be able to pull this off just like by the eye, and it will look okay. So yeah, like yeah, it does, but yeah, but if you will be consistent with your perspective, it will look much better. Like 99.9% of the time. Unless you really go for like a kind of stylized perspective, maybe in a way that Kim Young-gi does, for example, because he is using this forced 5-point perspective. So yeah, but it works for him. So yeah, usually don't combine different perspectives, but sometimes it's good to use a forced perspective. So when something in this perspective won't be like, let's say, as pointy as it is, you can make it a little bit more pointy just for the sake of making the image a little bit more dynamic. So League of Legends splash arts, I guess, are a good example for this. I would never say they are like 100% correct, but there's also no need for them to be 100% correct. It's like not the case. It has to showcase the hero in a really cool way. But sometimes you can just distort it a bit more than needed, so you will achieve a certain effect. And this way you will make a better painting, most likely. Because if you are drawing, you are commanding what is happening on the canvas. Or at least you hope you do. Because I know it's not always the case that when you want to do something, then you are able to do it. Usually the like skills are kinda in a way of doing what we want. But yeah. Definitely photography is bueno skill to know, to learn. It just makes a lot of sense. Like just watch some documentaries or whatever. It is always a nice thing to do. Okay, let's try to make the chainmail. So for painting the chainmail, using a chain brush actually is legal because it does gives you the texture that you might need. And because painting a chainmail is usually a stupid idea because of the extremely complex texture that you might need, you might need to use a bit more like tricks for it. So you need to play a bit more with the suggestion, So for example, in some like areas like this, I can suggest what the type of a pattern do we have in here. So where the chainmail is like hanging, I can show that some chains are kind of like hanging or whatever without like really overdoing them that much. And in some areas that are in the light, I can kind of like overexpose them. So the texture when I zoom out will just look like a chainmail. In a perfect scenario, you will have like a 3D model or a perfect photograph that will just showcase the nicely finished texture for you, and you won't have to think about it. But usually it won't happen with the chainmail pictures, because it's really hard to get a good chainmail reference that will fit what you actually need. So yeah, I kind of feel I wanted to give him some sort of a like necklace, but now I feel the showing that maybe he has like a shirt underneath it will be a bit of a better idea. So he's not really wearing the chainmail on his like bare body, but he does have something for comfort in him. And I will take the colors from the rest of the painting. Yeah, that's true. Like as in the Elden Ring and Dark Souls, fashion over stats. If one item has slightly better stats but is uglier, then you can't wear it because fashion souls forbid to do so. Fashion is important when you are battling. So that's absolutely true. Without good fashion, there's no good fight. Some shadows and whatnot. And also this is like one of the tricks that I have been noticing a lot in my workplace. Some of the clients that were sending us feedbacks and everything, they were really using a lot of like flat colors, but in a way that they just looked good, because they used a lot of like, how to say it, a lot of colors that were like correct with light. That is kind of like obvious that you have to do something like this. But the thing is, if you are using a color that is really nicely matched to your environment and everything, then you don't really need to paint anything. It's like basically a stroke with some like really minor details will be more than enough to convey a lot of detail. And this is something that I am still learning. It's extremely hard to learn actually, because it just requires the tremendous knowledge about light and color. So in my case, I'm kind of like trying to get it close, and then I'm just brute forcing it and just testing different hues as long as needed, until I manage to get it kind of right. So for example, like in here, can imagine the top will be a bit brighter, but the side can be definitely a bit darker. And to add some colors, like to break the general color scheme, there is a chance it will just look better. And some cast shadows from the cloth, because light is light, but in the end we need to remember that it's still like a geometry, and it does still need to cast a shadow. And also the more textures that you have, the usually the nicer the painting will look like. So this is the next thing that I need to learn heavily. How to utilize textures in my painting in a manner that will make more sense. And how to avoid painting stuff like this where I can't basically see anything interesting in an arm because it just looks weird. Yeah, the old games have this beautiful something that vast majority of the times the artists that were doing the art were not even an artists. They were like the best people in a studio that were capable of doing art, and they were like told that okay, now you are doing art, you are responsible for art, and they were like okay. And also not many examples were like done back in the days, so they had to invent a lot of the things. So now this is the reason why in the old games we had stuff like this. And some of those designs work, some of those designs obviously don't work. Some of those designs evolved and became something that is really cool, like red dragons, for example. It's like really old thing that was just like evolving and evolving. And I do believe the dragons that we have right now in many games and movies are much better than a lot of the old dragon designs, but still the old dragon designs are really good designs usually, and they are still holding really well. And sometimes I even prefer the older designs, but that also depends on the topic. But there are, as I said, there are designs that aged well, and there are designs that did not age well at all. So yeah, here is that. Some wisdom. Yeah, that's true. But also 99% of dragons that are in the heraldry or in the medieval paintings look stupid as fuck. So yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true. They are faithful. But what I mean is old school red dragon, for example. Old red dragon art. So I need something like really old. Something turbo generic. I'm not even sure if I know any artists from like really back in the days that were doing some, let's say, red dragons. This one is a new one. This is landscape, so it does not really help that much. It's hard to say. To put in hello, Mikołaj. What I mean, 10 years ago we had cool dragons. Nowadays we have even cooler dragons because our understanding of anatomy is better. Much more different design solutions has been tested, so a lot of people have like much broader knowledge on on the topic and can reference and like come up with even newer ideas. Not always better, but very often better. And because we do have a lot of informations on the design of the dragons, we can come up with just more interesting things. This is at least my opinion. So like, let's say, oh, okay, maybe not, maybe this would be a better example. Skeleton, warrior fantasy. So for example, in really old fantasy artworks, if you would have like a skeleton, okay, it might not be the best example, but the first thing that I found that is kind of casual. You will have like a skeleton that basically is like this. You will have like the something on a crotch, a sword, an armor or whatever, and the shield, something casual. And a lot of games and a lot of old fantasy will just have stuff like this. It will be just really casual. But for example, if you process the same thing like over and over again, you will like test it in many different occasions, you can come up with something, for example, like this, that is also not, let's say, the best design in the world, but it is kind of showing a much different approach to the design. Of course, this is also not the same monster, but just to show the progressions. So this is like, let's say, a Gravelord Nito. So like one of the coolest skeletons out there. I just like his design. It's simple, but it is like a huge skeleton. And the thing is, this is just like visually much more interesting than this one, because there is only like Gravelord Nito in terms of like designs of similar like this, and there were like thousands of designs like this. And the same things happens with the dragons. Let's say you had like casual dragons, but now you have more crazy, more interesting design of dragons that can still be perceived as dragons. I don't know if this makes sense, or maybe it's just like a small rant about the stylistics and the what people like, what people don't. I don't know. I kind of lost the point, but I hope you get the idea. Not always newer is better, but newer has much bigger chances of being better, if not overdone. That's true. They do have a lot of regular skeletons. Oh, maybe this one. One skeleton. Let's take the most casual skeleton in Dark Souls that you can have. So this is like wait. Yeah, let's say a casual skeleton. So something like this. It is a bit more casual. The thing that I would say is a bit more unique in comparison to the other skeletons in the other like older games is the pose, is the movement. The moveset of this skeleton is absolutely something different. Usually games have like a skeleton that just move like a human, or like hands behind the back or whatever. This guy's like spin, twist, and something. They just look cooler. Skeleton. But for example, the most basic skeleton in Elden Ring, let's say, is there an image yet? Yeah, it's really hard to even find an image of the skeleton in Elden Ring at the moment. But the thing is that the proportions are pushed a little bit more, the general vibe of them. Yeah, but the human skeletons, I couldn't find a nice image. But yeah, even the idea of a giant skeleton that like is in the certain setting. I'm kind of sounding like a Dark Souls or From Software fanboy at the moment. I'm certainly am a fanboy. But what I kind of think they managed to pull out good designs with really basic mobs, with really basic creatures, because you can tell the skeletons, for example, in Dark Souls are much more menacing than any other skeleton in other games. They're not like a boring foes. They're like literally hard enemies that you don't really like. Yeah, maybe. But it all depends on the point of view. In my case, I really enjoy. I enjoy like dissecting the designs and just like admiring the designs in those games because there are something different. Uh, they do have this something that a lot of like previous games never had, and also the fact that it was not done by like, let's say, the European culture type of guys, because it's from Japan, I believe. uh, it kind of shows how different they approach some design decisions and whatnot, which is also really cool for me. It's like a small clash of cultures, and we can see how do they design stuff like this. Yeah, I just enjoy looking at Dark Souls designs from software designs in general. I think usually they are really cool and really clever, and sometimes weird, but almost never like overdone. I don't think I ever. Yeah, Pinwheel is a really cool. Like as a boss, he is like nah, but as an idea, he's really cool. The lore behind him is cool. The visuals of him are cool. So yeah. Yeah, that's true. Where you have like those three figures connected according to the lore that this is his family that he tried to resurrect and he merged with them. And this is also what I call a cool design. Like in the older games, let's say you would have like a giant skeleton in like a huge armor, and this will be like a skeleton boss. And now you actually can have like a skeleton boss that actually is interesting and that is like designed in a sense. This is kind of show. It also is shown kind of in Diablo. So for example, in Diablo 1 you had like the King Leoric, and it was just basically like a big skeleton with a sword, which at that time was cool. It was okay. In Diablo 3 it turned like they turned him into like a generic skeleton with like a big weapon without any idea whatsoever. So I thought if they would just leave him as he was, it would be more interesting than the new version. But personally, I think Diablo 3 is maybe not a visual disaster, but for Diablo it is kinda off. But I said it many times. I don't think Diablo 3 is. It is a good game, but it's not a good Diablo. Mm. Okay, so I'm adding some of the reflections from the ground. And I guess before I like finish this guy completely, I will need to ask for some feedback, some friends of mine. So I do feel something is really off, but I'm not really seeing it. I can't really I can't really grasp the this feeling like what is actually off. So I hope maybe some of them will allow me to pinpoint it. You could add some rust. Oh yeah, that's true. I might do it. This is one of the ideas. But I guess I will render the metal first and then I will add rust, but definitely a cool suggestion, or I can't even do it myself. And for how long I'm gonna stream for, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes more, because priorities. The Elden Ring is calling to be played. So today, definitely, as I said, a bit of a shorter stream. Rust. Yeah, the Rust is doing nice. Thanks. Yeah. I can actually add a bit of this like texture to his entire body to kind of like break the flat colors a bit. It's usually something that works really relatively well. So I can make him slightly dirtier, more dirty. I don't really like what is going on with his left hand. It just looks off. Oh, quite a lot actually. Throughout the weekend I managed to play for 32 and a half hours. So I have been playing non-stop basically. But I did two demigods, shitload of small bosses in some like caves and everything, a lot of invasions and whatnot. So quite a lot. I was not really keeping a track of it. But yeah, I basically started playing around on Saturday. I started in the morning and finished at 6 a.m. The entire Sunday I was playing, but couldn't play for a long period of time because I had to be awake quite early. Because the girl had to come in like to check on the ceiling because the developer messed up a ceiling in my place, and I like send that it is like that it needs to be reworked. I don't even know how to say it in the language in the English. So yeah, but the idea is they have to rework the ceiling because they fucked it up. So yeah, and this is the only reason I had to wake up early. Yeah, they are. And they are even better if someone is familiar with the Dark Souls series, because a lot of the things is pulled out from Dark Souls and improved upon. I really like how they did the basilisks, the new basilisks, because now when people were speculating, are these the eyes of the basilisk or are these not the eyes of the basilisk? Now they are like eyes. They are like eyes, and it's hard to argue with it that those are eyes. And they even left like a small something that could be eyes, or that can kind of like poke or tingle the feeling that, oh, in Dark Souls those were the eyes and now they are not, because there's like a small residue in it. Yeah, I don't really feel like the left arm looks okay. I kind of feel like it should be changed. So let me cut it out, paste it, mark it, and let me try to do something different. Whip starting class. Which one? The wretched one, I believe, or the samurai. Samurai is kind of a whip starting class. Or you mean the pants guy? Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I kind of like it. And this is like the thing that I do enjoy really about from software games. They can literally just put a samurai armor into this world and it fits because the world is so nicely designed. Uh, they like put so much effort into it and it's so well like explained. They can get away with adding stuff like this. And you can have, there is even like one set that is just like a perfectly, okay, maybe not perfectly, but that is basically like a medieval armor, kind of like a crusader armor or something like this. And it fits. It just looks okay-ish. And I don't know if it's because there's so many odd and weird things that the casual things also seem odd, but it makes them fit into the entire world, or what it is with this game, but or with their approach. But they do know how to make good designs. They definitely do. But yeah, samurai armor is a bit on the weak side of the spectrum. Oh yeah, yeah, that's true, and it's fun and it's cool because like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just take something that is proven to look odd and improve on it. This how they did the Dom Hall of Zana or something like this. The merchant in the sewers. This is like based on the existing armor, and a lot of armors that's true are based on a real life because like people are weird. So like, but we are not really used about seeing those type of an armors. Uh, Fighting a boss that tries to the horse sonic. Yeah, it is nice. I mean, it is annoying, but you can get used to it. It kind of shows that they were not really sure how to do the entire like horse fighting type of a thing. They pulled it off well. It is okay, but it could be better. But I mean, that's for Elden Ring 2 and Elden Ring 3 and whatever. And I hope at some point I will work on one of those franchises. It will be cool. And for the complex game, yeah, it's extremely complex, it's extremely vast, and it's extremely fun. And this is the game that I will replay over and over and over again because I can see shitload of different playthroughs. I could do different order of things, different like let's say challenges or secrets to discover. And I know playing a different class, the game will feel vastly different, which is fine because at the moment I'm playing like a prisoner, so Dex Int build. Nah, I'm not like, let's say, a game type of a streamer. I could, but I prefer to play the games like casually. I never wanted to be like a gaming streamer type of a guy. Uh, Too much work, I would say, to do something like this, and I prefer to be like an art YouTuber. Most likely in the future there will be some, let's say, events, if I can name them like this, where I maybe play some games. So for example, there will be like a really cool game and there will be like, I don't know, much more subscribers and I could do some sort of a contest in the game and it will be based on like redesigning and playing, which could be cool. So you can like, I was thinking about it, but honestly, for my knowledge on the armaments, on like the historical part of the game, historical part of the like armors and everything, I am not like, I don't know enough to pull it off nicely. I could like discuss the designs of what I like, what I don't like, what I think looks interesting, what I don't think looks interesting. This is an idea, but I would need to like prepare a character that is, I don't know, a level 200 or something like this, because I'm too stupid to use cheat engines and everything to be immortal and whatnot. So I would need to like do something like this. But and I would need to figure out the idea how I can draw on screen while actually playing. So I won't have to like minimize to make some notes. So yeah, this is definitely an idea. It was suggested previously, but yeah, maybe, maybe at some point I will do something like this. Okay, I'm reaching the point where I feel I'm not progressing anymore, which is good because it means it's time to push my skills further for me to finish it, but to make it possible, I definitely will need some feedbacks, possibly from friends of mine that are better in those type of things, because I know what areas most likely they will talk about, but I have not the slightest clue how they will try to improve on it. I'm really calm when I play games. Like sometimes it do happen that I will say like a magic kurva word when I'm trying to stream. I don't even know if it's legal on Twitch or if it's legal on YouTube to say something like this. I don't know. I honestly have no clue. I would need to read about it because usually when I watch someone stream, they really avoid cursing on cussing. So yeah, this is like the Polish spell, the most important word in our dictionary. So many emotions conveyed by one word. But yeah, I will see. Maybe at some point I might, but also when I was like watching different streamers, because sometimes I just put someone playing a game that I wanted to see, but I did not want to invest any hours into it, so they can like play on my second screen. I just watch them. It's just a lot of work to make a good like gaming stream. And honestly, looking at my like time possibilities and even my dedication to like an art type of a stream, because I can't fully like what was the word? Not dictate, not decide, dedicate. Because I can't fully dedicate myself to like being a YouTuber or a thing. I would much rather, yeah, kind of perfectionist, but also kind of like having a basic amount of dignity to not just like bore people to death and to not make something that will be just uh, low quality from the start. And I would much rather put the hours that I have available to do a bit more art and to treat gaming purely as something that I enjoy in my spare time, in my off time, instead of like making kinda a commitment out of it. So I would feel committed to like play a game. I this is something that I definitely don't want to do. Like the games are like my place to just like chill out without like annoying myself with them. Ugh. Ugh. I do like the veins on the thighs. I feel those are cool details. Maybe not in the way they are done right now, a little bit more like swirls and whatnot. But something like this could work. And I guess I will wrap the stream in here, because honestly now I feel like I'm just dawdling senselessly. They can be scars. It can be scars, growth scars, veins, whatever you like. If they look like scars for you, I'm fine with it. They can be scars. Scars actually would make a lot of sense, because like he's huge and stuff were like trying to cut it down. So yeah, those can be like vein scars. Sometimes veins, sometimes scars, sometimes whatever. This is how the design is done. Someone says something and I'm like, yeah, of course, this is this. This is exactly what you said it is. So yeah. Yeah, I will just have to ask some friends for feedback, and if I will have a feedback, then I will gladly continue on this guy, mostly on this arm. I'm just not feeling it, so I might do a quick Elden Ring version of this monster. Foul tarnished. Jokes done. Stream done. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm taking off to play some games, and I hope you enjoyed the stream. I don't even know how much I have done. I don't think a lot, but a progress, even a small progress, is like something. So yeah, thanks for tuning in and have a nice day. See ya. Enjoy your, what day do we have? Monday. Enjoy your Tuesday, and I don't know, eat well, sleep well, and see ya. Have a good one.